game until you're back in the studio.
We've been very lucky. We've been very lucky that the leaf blowers and the mowers haven't, the blowers and the mowers haven't shown.
Well, hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Welcome to another episode. I'm just buttoning up the finishing touches on this. It bothered me that I didn't use the voltage regulator because, as you know, I had a 1016 amp that was stock on here, which I don't know why with the voltage regulator, but because that was trashed, I put a dual circuit stator, which is rated at 5 amps. So it has two wires that come out, the red and the black, right? The red one has a diode on it, and then it's supposed to convert it itself. But then when I tried it this morning, right, I was testing the voltage. It was really high. I mean, it was like charging at 16 volts, you know, to the battery. So that's not good long term. It'll work for a while, but that battery being overcharged at 16 volts is a little too much, you know what I mean? So I thought about it, and so then I concocted the wiring so that it would go through the voltage regulator. Then it has a ground strap over here from the voltage regulator, and I tapped it into, you know, a screw that goes to ground, you know. And so I just tried it out now, and with the lights on, it's charging at a normal 12.7 to 13, you know what I mean? So that's normal. So I'm going to end up keeping the voltage regulator on here. So in conjunction with the dual circuit stator, it now charges just fine, even with the lights on, you know. If I had the lights off, it almost hits 14 volts, you know what I mean? But with the lights on, it charges normally between 12.8 and 13.2, you know, around there. So that's all finished, and I feel a little better about it because it's charging at a lower voltage than it was, you know. Charging at 13 or 14 volts is a lot better than 16.5 volts, you know. It's a little just too much voltage, you know. The overspray, one of my subscribers told me to try Goof Off, which I have. I used it on here, doesn't work. This overspray's been on here for 10 years and won't even budge it. I also tried some of this stuff here. I had it from my van when I had to take the decals off my van when I first got it. This is Matzenbacher's adhesive remover. This stuff works great to get stickers off, you know what I mean? But for paint, it's still on here, won't come off. No matter what, it won't come off. I mean, brake cleaner will come off, but so will the green. You know, that the brake cleaner is much more harsh than the other stuff. So I listed my John Deere L100 for $775 online. Had a lot of bites, a lot of action last night. But people were like 300, 400, 500. You know, there's one guy even said 600, but he was in Connecticut. And then I said, you know, I'm in Long Island, right? He's like, oh, sorry. You know, people just don't look. You guys know what I mean. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Today, that's right, my next victim is this red Yardmachines. It has no engine, no deck. It didn't have a seat, but I put the Murray seat on there, right? And today I'm going to put the Murray engine into it. The Murray engine is a 14.5. No. Not that engine. That engine is the 13.5 with the grinded down valves. No, the engine I'm putting in here is also red. It matches the tractor. This engine is the, no, it's not the Murray 6 horsepower. Okay. It's the 14.5 overhead valve quiet engine. This was off the Murray number 6 from 7 of the Mandomowers trade, and that engine worked fine. It was just that we took that engine off of that Murray because that Murray had a cracked rear end. You know, the rear end of the frame is all rusted in Swiss cheese, so I dumped that tractor after tearing it down. But the engine runs. We had it running and everything, so that's a good engine, and I'll simply just put it on here. We have the Murray seat on here too, right? And from what I remember when I got this from Nick from Medford, right? For free! That's right, free. he was driving this around before he moved the engine. So the tranny should work and everything else should work. I gotta find a double stack pulley and shove that engine on here today. For now, I'm gonna have to pull this tractor out of here. Pull the Yardmachines out of here. Put the John Deere back where the Yardmachines is and do a swapperoo. Hey, are you gonna come back and grab my package? No, not at all. I'm just saying, usually my regular guy, he swings back here and grabs the package. Thank you very much. Shotgun. Holy cow. The steering. That's right, showing off the lights. Gotta show off the lights. You know what? Let's do this outside. The next victim. This is a Yardmachines. It was a 17.5 but as you can see, it's really nothing. It's neither 17.5 nor it's 42. No deck, no engine, but tires hold air. I think the transmission's good. Got a seat on there that's in really good shape. And, we could turn this into a hauler. It could drag your aerators, your thatchers, or dethatchers. You can drag a trailer to put your mulch in, People want that. Remember, I did sell a few of those before, cheap, $300 or something like that. Hey, if I can get $300 for this, that's a score, man. Engine's probably worth maybe $150, $200, right? If I can get $300 for this whole thing, and somebody may want to just drive it around. If I don't sell it for a while, maybe I'll put a big pulley on it and make it a mud mower, eh? As you can see, it's pretty rough. But nothing that a can of Sunrise Red Rust-Oleum gloss wouldn't fix up, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to go get that engine out here. And I think I might have to remove, it'll be kind of difficult to get in there. I don't want to remove the sides. It's such a pain in the butt, you know what I mean? I think I might have to, though. Let's see if I can just drop the engine in here without moving anything. You know what? I think I might have to anyway, because as you guys know, Nick from Medford, he doesn't have much patience when removing an engine. That dude just cuts the entire wiring harness just to take it off. Doesn't want to remove the quick disconnect, just cut the whole thing. Thanks, Nick. Three-eighths? Of course it's not 3/8. 7/16? I only see one bolt though. Let's try a 7/16. Seven sixteenths over there, 3/8 over here. Uh-huh. So 2 3/8 over here. Overkill. Oh my God, it's not. It's 3 of them. Holy cow. That might not have been it. Of course it's a 7/16 on that one. Unbelievable. Holy cow. Why? Why? Jesus. 4 bolts. 2 different sizes to get that off. So on top of the wiring harness being chopped like this, right? Safety switch has been bypassed with the zip tie on it, right? No idea what happened with this. Also the throttle cable, right, has been cut also. So I have to replace the throttle cable. So I think I'm gonna have to just hardwire the switch to the engine, right, by just using the solenoid tab, the magneto tab, solenoid, magneto, battery, and ground. Those 4 to get the engine running. That's all I'm going to need. So I'm going to hardwire everything and bypass this entire harness. So I might even just remove the harness to use the wiring, you know. So to make things easier, I'm going to remove the gas tank, because I have to replace the throttle anyway, you know. Fortunately, I do have a few throttle cables from other projects that I didn't use. And it's relatively easy to take the gas tank off. It's only 4 half-inch bolts. Not that you really need 4 half-inch bolts to hold a gas tank in there, you know what I mean? It's overkill also. But gas tank looks okay, you know. Good gas cap. Relatively clean, but now that it's out, or like they say in Canada, out, we can clean it very well. So I'm just gonna yank all this. I'm gonna yank all the wiring out of here and the ignition switch and all that, and do some rewiring. So I'm gonna do a time lapse on the whole process. So guys, I've been busy. As you can see, I completely gutted the wiring harness and I only used 4 wires. Ground, trigger wire to the solenoid, battery power, and magneto. That's it. Just 4 wires. Everything else is coiled up. And I've tested everything and it seems to work. So, of course, my battery dies, and I couldn't wait for me to just wait for it to charge. So I just have to keep on going, right? So I did all the wiring, as you saw. I've got like an entire bunch of spaghetti over here. So I completely removed the entire wiring harness from the original part of the tractor. As you know, this is my Murray seat. Under the Murray seat is a brand new Advanced Auto Parts battery. When I hooked up my wiring, right, which is the magneto, the solenoid, the ground, and the battery, only those 4 wires are connected. There are no safety switches. Everything is bypassed. The entire wiring harness was removed. I used the existing wiring harness for the length, you know what I mean? And I found out that the main battery cable wasn't even attached to the solenoid. So I had to remove the solenoid, which is a pain in the butt on the MTD stuff, because the solenoid is in the back over here along this back panel there, right? And it's a 3-post solenoid, so it had to be grounded. So I removed it, made sure that the orange tab, which goes to the solenoid, went straight to the ignition switch, attached the power cable from the battery to one post. The other post goes straight to the starter. All the wiring was pretty simple. Like I said, it's just the 4, right? And I have the 4 attached. The orange wire goes to the negative kill switch, not the kill switch, the magneto kill, right, on the tab of the engine. I mounted 4 bolts, engine mounting bolts onto it. Here's another interesting thing that I didn't enjoy doing. The throttle over here wouldn't reach the engine for some crazy reason. The only throttle ones that I had were too short. It was off by like 3 inches, so it wouldn't reach that part over here on this side. So my only alternative was that I had a choke cable. And the choke cable looks like a cigarette lighter right here, right? You pull it all the way, back, and it's choke. Push it down a little bit, that's full throttle. You want low throttle all the way in. So that's how it worked. Then there was a little cap over here. I took it off. The hole was already existing, so I just put this choke cable, which was long enough all the way there. Blew out the gas tank, reattached the gas tank, right? Because this engine, or this setup, didn't have a switch for the fuel solenoid. This engine has a fuel solenoid. So I snipped the valve on the fuel solenoid, disconnected the wire, so that's not an issue. For those of you who know about the MTDs, I'm going to tell you something. If you have the double stack pulley from the MTDs, right, and you remove it for some reason, there's a little flange over here that's about a 1/4 inch high. Without that flange, you can't mount it. That flange takes up the room between the top of here and this thing right here. If you stick this right there on the crankshaft, right, this part here will scrape the bottom of the engine, right? So you need a flange that takes up, it's a spacer. It's about a 1/4 inch spacer that's there, right? And it comes with most of these MTDs. And every time you remove it, this flange goes somewhere, and nobody keeps it, everybody loses it, but you can't reattach it without it, right? So I managed to get a Briggs & Stratton double stack pulley. I think it might be the one for like an opposed twin or something. So the pulley is another inch bigger in diameter, right? It was the only one that fit because it had a flange on it, right? And I had the bolt that would fit through both with a washer at the end to tighten the double stack pulley onto the crankshaft, right? The problem was, because the diameter that the one that I was using was an inch or so bigger, right? Almost an inch and a half bigger in diameter, it wouldn't fit in the area where this would fit, you know, because the frame is made perfectly for that, right? It's not made perfectly for a wider one, so it wouldn't fit in there. So I had to get my cutting grinder and grinded a corner each, right? Bent the frame down so it would accommodate the bigger diameter double stack pulley. So guess what? I got a bigger pulley on there, so it should go faster, you know what I mean? So I had that on there. That took a while, but it was fun. It was interesting, you know? So shout out to my buddy Max Weir from Illinois. He went to a junkyard and he found one of these things and he sent it to me because he thought I would need it. And of course I sold my MTD Cub Cadet, that yellow thing, and so I never put it on before I received it. But guess what? This is an MTD, and look, this is missing the thing. So here you go. This is for Max Weir. Thank you for sending this to me. How about that, huh? Look at that. Badass. So as you know, my intention was to just get this going as a hauler because it's been sitting in my yard for like 9 months. I got it for free from my friend Nick from Medford. Go follow him on Instagram, DocBuilders1556. Thanks, Nick. It took me a while to redo all those wires that you cut, but that's okay. It keeps me in good practice, you know what I mean? I also used the insulator connectors that my friend subscriber Sam sent me. You can follow him on Red Oaks Mowers on Instagram. Thanks, Sam, for those connectors for the wiring. Heated it up with the heat gun, and you're right. If you kept the heat gun, which Sam also sent me, you melt the solder that's in the middle, and it does melt. I thought it would, you know, I thought it wouldn't melt because, I mean, you would need a lot more heat than that. Well, that heat gun's tell you right now that it heats it up really hot. I mean, if I'm on high and I keep it there for a while, right, I see it. The solder was melting and blending in with the wires, you know. So I spliced the wires, the thick ones, right, and the splines. You just like open them up, and then when you connect them, you mesh them like that, right? Then bend it a little bit, put the connector over it first, you know, then mesh it, and then heat it up, and it's a good solid contact, you know. Anyway, so the working engine, mounted it, connected the starter, redid all the wiring, cut the valve on the fuel solenoid, redid the throttle cable, cleaned out the gas tank, reattached the side panels, the double stack pulley fabricated to fit a bigger pulley, and that's it. I did start it up, and it does start, but I shut it off right away. I want to see if it moves now. So my purpose was to make a hauler. Let's see if this moves and drives as a hauler. Oh, I'm so nervous. Sons of bitches. So there's no safety switches whatsoever. I should just turn the key and it'll go. Huh. Well, that's less than ideal. falls out. Fast, man. Because of the variable steering. It goes through like a Barra drive pulley. So the acceleration's very good. Kind of fun to drive. I don't know why it didn't start up very well. Fun, man. Whoa. Oh, hey. Reverse is fast, too. I'm gonna put the key back in. Nice. So that was today's project. is to get this thing running, driving, and it's actually kind of fun to drive. It's got a little bit of acceleration to it, so it's very fun. I didn't connect the stator wire to the power wire to the battery before, which is why the battery was kind of hesitant in starting it. It was like, "Roo, roo." But as you saw, I connected the wire, so now driving it and running it, it's charging the battery at over 13 volts is just perfect, So that's it. It did take me, 3-4 hours, but honestly, it was kind of fun to see if I can get it going, because that double stack pulley thing was the biggest challenge, because I had to go and find another one that would accommodate this, and then to fabricate the frame to accommodate the bigger diameter pulley. But I'm glad I got the pulley on there because it is much faster than normal, especially with the variable drive. Engine is a 13.5 Flathead, which is, it's loud, but it always works, And how I fabricated that throttle cable using a choke cable for a throttle cable, it's kind of cool, So that's it, I put the panel back on and got the fuel solenoid, got the new battery in here. So far, the money that I spent on this is $25, $22.90, $27 because I bought the battery. So it's a brand new battery in here. I didn't spend any more money on this either. Has ATF in the tires. I put that in like maybe 3 months ago. It still holds air. That ATF, man, I'm telling you, it's a great secret to have. But no secret anymore. You guys know. Anyway, so that's it for today. Getting an engine into this red Yardmachines, and tomorrow maybe we'll mask off some of the stuff and give it a little bit of paint just to make it look nicer. Thanks a lot for joining me on today's project. We'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.